Very early. Which was.
That's the APL community. That's the APL community report, 2026.
Yeah, it's the most recent thing.
Feedback.
Yeah, I guess so.
We are live, just so everybody knows that the feed is live. And are we expecting Bob to join us virtually?
No.
No. Okay. Then we're good to go.
Points.
I was, and it's that word. And now.
All right. Hello and welcome. It is 6:01. I will go ahead and call this meeting to order. President Trustee Masinski. Vice President Trustee Williams. Vice President Burkayes. Trustee Marlowe. Trustee Jackson. Trustee Barnes, Secretary. Andrew Nicolai, Executive Director. Mackenzie Clark, Counsel to the Library. Matt Stark, Assistant Director.
Jones, Board Treasurer. I'm Director.
Thank you. And absent tonight are trustees Vanita Gauze and Pryor, all with excused absence. Is there any public comments?
Thanks.
Oh, well, the 17% possible tax increase isn't something that I'm enthusiastic about.
Can you state your name and street
Oh, Arvid P. Rennie.
into the mic?
Okay. Oh, Arvid P. Rennie from 47 Morris Street.
Thank you.
Well, the prospective 17% tax increase isn't something that I can really be enthusiastic about. But as long as it's a one-time thing, I could accept it. However, it seems imperative though that in the future that the tax increases are returned to previous levels within the tax cap. Because year after year of those kinds of increases, I think would be hard on the tax base. And overall, I do feel that the library has given me good service. And but again, I just feel that if it gets to the situation where there does have to be tax increases outside the tax cap each year, that then there has to be some way to economize. But at this point, I don't feel that the library budget is excessive or overly lavish. But again, I know that inflation is a severe problem these days, especially with the cost of the war and all of the other factors that are driving up the cost of everything from health to insurance. But again, I just feel that the situation has to be brought under control, so that there wouldn't be this kind of tax increase year after year. And again, I do understand that in the past that the increase has been pretty minimal. So one could say that people have gotten a head start on this because of the previous low increases. But again, that advantage would be whittled away if there isn't any way to return after this to the previous low level of increases. And again, it should always be remembered that the school taxes, for one reason that Albany is disadvantaged, is that the school taxes are so high. And again, if the library tax increases too much, then eventually the library tax could become as much of a drag on Albany taxpayers as the school tax is now. And one of the big problems with the school tax is that finally there's so much being paid for administration rather than real education. And I don't believe that the library budget is loaded with administration the way the school budget is. So I think that's one advantage. But again, I think you're doing a very good job, and I think it would be worth it. Again, it is worth it to preserve the service. But again, there's only so many of these kind of tax increases that the public can really keep on supporting. So I guess that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there any further public comments? Thank you. All right, moving on, our next item Oh, excuse me, sorry, so excited, I'm smashing the microphone. Is the introduction of our new head of public safety.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mike Pargio, and I'm the new head of public safety here. A little background on myself. I spent 21 years as an Albany police officer. 12 of those I was a detective, and 8 of those I was assigned to an FBI task force. Some goals that I have coming here. I'm looking at the safety procedures and the safety of each branch. And I'm really into training. So I'm looking to train, staff on everything from de-escalation training to what to do in an emergency, whether that's EMS emergency, fire emergency, police involvement emergency, um, you know, going into lockdowns, lockouts, and everything in between. So training is a big thing for me. So that's my big thing here is to make sure everyone's safe and, ready and able to handle whatever comes through the door.
Does anyone have any questions? Well, we have no here with us. You can turn on this one, you said.
I started February 2nd. Thank you very much. Yes.
So you probably have, you've had an opportunity to visit all the branches and utilize the general staff, not just the security staff?
Yes, I try to get to each branch at least once a week. I've been to at least one of every branch meeting. So I met with the staff, the managers. I try to be as much involved as I can at every branch. So yeah, I'm always, my door is always open, the email's always read, phone's always on, and I do try to travel to each branch at least once a week.
Will you be, I'm sorry, will you be, thinking of training, will you be having any training on recognizing security issues versus mental health crises?
Yes, I'm obviously not trained in mental health aspect, but 21 years of being a cop and all the training we did there, yes, that is a big part of the job. Obviously we're open to the public, so we get, every person can walk through the door. Every person has their own challenges, and we're, here to recognize that and help as much as we can.
I would also offer that Mike's done a great job connecting with the new CART team on the police force, a special unit that has trained crisis intervention workers. And Mike has also made a connection with Jason Davis at the schools and meets with them regularly about school and school security issues as well. So in addition to what Mike's already shared.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Just on that note, next week is our staff development day and training day for staff. And Mike is doing a training related part on security issues.
Right, the next item on our agenda is the minutes. Is the minutes of the last meeting. Are there any questions or comments about the minutes? Seeing none, is there a motion to accept the minutes?
Trustee West, I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
Is there a second? Second, fine. All in favor? Passes unanimously, thank you. All right. Moving along to finance. The first item is the operating check register. Are there any questions or comments related to the operating check register? All right. Hearing none. There is not a capital fund check register this month. Is there a motion to accept the operating check register and capital fund check register?
Trustee Allen, I move to accept the operating check register and capital check register.
Second, Barb. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously, thank you. All right, moving on to the finance memo.
The items included in the agenda, there's a providers 2026 fiscal year activity through the 8 months ending February 28th, 2026. The treasurer's report includes 2 schedules. The first schedule presents the change in fund balance compared to budget amounts approved by the board. The second schedule presents a further breakdown of expenditures by category. Total supporting activities were comparable with the modified budget, while total expenditure was slightly over the modified budget. The capital fund report presents the financial activity of the capital projects approved by the board. Lastly, the cash and investment summary report presents the activity of the library accounts during the report. Thank you.
Do you want me to motion for the second? All right, moving along to the. Oh, I'm sorry, did we have any questions? So excited to meet everyone. Thanks. Trustees reporting out and some upcoming events. I will get us started. First, I want to thank all the trustees who showed up and supported the nominating committee sessions of candidate information for the candidates. So thank you for that. I want to share about show and tell. I attended rock painting at Barber Hill Vestal, Meadow Lion, Humboldt Otter. And so it was very fun. People seemed to really enjoy it. And I don't know if Andreas wanted to explicitly talk about it, but apparently the Arbor Hill West Hill branch has started another arts class. Because I've had a very hard time getting into the arts class without, jumping in and signing up right away. And they now have an afternoon class. So some of the people are going in the afternoon. So it's easier to enroll and do fun arts and crafts activities. And that's exciting for me. And I also last week attended a webinar hosted by APL with the Adirondack Experience about Teddy Roosevelt's Midnight Ride into presidency. And amongst the various things I learned was that this year marks the 125th anniversary of that event.
I also attended an Adirondack Experience Zoom talk, but it was about Georgia O'Keeffe in Lake George, which was really like, she spent so much time there, and it was really informative. The images were beautiful, and there was a really lively Q&A, which is often hard to do on Zoom, so I thought that went really well. And I also attended a talk with a Vietnam War Convention projector on Saturday as part of the 4-part Vietnam War series, which is very moving. He read some of his friends' letters who were in Vietnam and talked through his experience and receiving a presidential pardon. And it's from Chatham, New York, so super local. And again, I just want to continue to tout the Applicants System app. Once again, the book I wanted was not here, but it was in Voorheesville, and it got to me in 2 days, and it's so easy to use, and they helped me that it was here, and it was really easy. It's National Poetry Month, so I attended a poetry event called Reading Between the Lines. It was a poetry reading with a woman named Natalia Sukanis, who's a immigrant from Odessa, Ukraine. And it was really lovely that her poems really spoke about her experience as an immigrant. And, you know, family and, you know, children and spouse were there, and it was like really nice, intimate with Meg, you know, hearing what she can have it, you know, after, you know, she read numerous poems, she's like, can we just sit in a circle? We talked about what like poems registered with us, and some of the folks in the audience were poets themselves and talked about their own writing processes, and it was just like a really nice way to ground that in the evening, and, you know, just hear lots of beautiful imagery, and so. Also a local, organizational groups. And 10 minutes down the road. So it's very nice to know that we have such talented award-winning folks in our community, and they choose to share that art and, you know, beautiful perspective on life because of the library event, so. Anyone else? Right? Moving on to executive committee, there are a few things we did meet. Minutes are obviously attached. We discussed and accepted a motion to accept revisions to the mutual responsibility section of the legal services with Whiteman, Osterman, and Hannah. The language will say that the letter will include the language that we will provide legal services that in our professional judgment are appropriate for this matter in accordance with applicable legal and ethics. We also reviewed board evaluations. I have more notes on that, so please be patient. We received 8 evaluations. I believe 8 out of 9 evaluations is the record for my time here on the board, so great job, everyone, thank you. Few key points, overall, the lowest ratings were for board members being prepared and present. So please, as a friendly reminder, come to meetings and be prepared. The ratings for length and efficiency have improved dramatically. And in our discussion, we're thinking that's partially related to how we've been trying the executive to only include executive session when we know that we need it. So we think that that is paying off. 2 people did not feel that a diversity of opinions were expressed and issues were dealt with respectfully. Executive committee thinks that the effective meeting training from Upper Hudson will help with this. However, Upper Hudson isn't available to provide this training until May. And since May is the last meeting for one of the trustees' terms and June is the last for 2 trustee terms, we think that it would be a better use of Upper Hudson's time to wait till we have all of us. But it was heard, and we are looking to help with the situation. And lastly, for the next steps were identified and responsibility assigned as needed. Item 2 trustees indicated that this needed improvement. And so we're to try and help with this. We're adding all of the committees to the agenda, which is a change. This way you can say, yes, we've met, we're not meeting, what have you, but it just keeps us all in mind of each other. And I am going to try and be cognizant to mention the trustees that have reached out about attendance, so everyone is aware of that as well. All right. The next item is ad hoc strategic planning committee. Oh, go ahead.
So with
I'm sorry.
the letter of engagement, is that something that does not come before the full board, that just is between the executive committee and council? Okay.
Or I should have given spaces inside. Before
Ad hoc strategic planning, the ad hoc strategic planning committee did not meet and does not have a meeting scheduled on the books. However, strategic planning is moving right ahead. We just had our board source session right before here. There is a live community survey out there on the internet that I encourage everyone to share with your friends and so that is moving forward. Any questions for strategic planning? Audit and finance.
We'll discuss the report later, right? The strategic plan progress report is on the agenda for later, right? So we'll talk about it.
Audit and finance is meeting, this Thursday, the 16th at 5 p.m.
Facilities?
We haven't.
So the nominating committee met, trustee West, the nominating committee met, the day before the first candidate information session, and really all they did was discuss the plan, they want to show for the candidate information sessions, and assign duties for both of those sessions. In light of our chair, not being able to, make them, so that was the crux of our meeting. We just divvied up responsibilities and did a high level overview of what to expect for those different information sessions.
Thank you. Personnel plan.
Trustee West. So, the personnel committee, has not met, but, we are looking to schedule a meeting, next, either in the next week or the beginning, or the 27th. I am just waiting for the rest of the members to confirm which date and time that they are available, so we can begin, our process of the annual, executive director evaluation.
Policy, I'm sorry, any questions?
Trustee West can share the states with me, he's gonna absolutely, once they tell us.
Policy and governance committee? Policy and governance will be reviewing on Wednesday, April 22nd at noon, here in Washington Avenue, the local state. All right, and then we come back to me. So first item is Upper Hudson, the Upper Hudson Library System. This is one of those months where we actually had 2 meetings between our meetings. But key things that I think are worth sharing, Upper Hudson is in very, very, very beginning stages of exploring connections with both the VA and Albany Med for potential health screening services to work with the libraries, which I thought was pretty cool. That's a ways out, so don't expect anything soon, but I thought it was a cool thing they were planning. They've been finally got work done on the Upper Hudson building itself to help it be ADA compliant. Some of you on the board may remember Mary Fellows, who works at Upper Hudson. She came in for a presentation a few years ago, and did appropriately. But anyway, Mary has been sort of an institution in Upper Hudson for a very long time. She's retiring at the end of this month. And there have been some hiccups with the new catalog interface happening. And Upper Hudson is working with the companies to remedy situations and help all impacted people. And lastly, I want to mention the annual meeting for Upper Hudson, which a bunch of us went to last year, is going to be in Albany this year. It goes back and forth, Albany and Rensselaer counties. This is Albany's year. It will take place June 10th at Love Albany. Love Albany is over near, yeah, Kate. 8 Street.
So this is from FMAPL's March investment meeting. We had, Director Nicolai do her report step after our board committee as our board as well. We discussed advocacy for budget votes and things like that. Yeah, to help with that. And I think the biggest update probably is the website. There is a website. It is not fully developed at this point, but people are able to donate through it, and the donations now supposed to be after a lot of work by FMHL's treasurer to get things working properly. They seem to be going through. So that is exciting. We continue to work with Donor Perfect to also be able to better utilize that platform for donor outreach and organization of those funds coming in. The Tuesday book talks are scheduled for through May and June. And the bylaws committee continues to meet in that over the weekend, and there'll be a draft those revisions going to FMHL for the May meeting, and you meet again tomorrow night.
Thank you. Any questions? I suppose for, I can offer for Upper Hudson, but any Upper Hudson questions or FMHL questions? Moving on to the executive director's report.
Thanks. So I wanted to start this report off with some information that may or may not be new to you. So every year we have these program themes, and they guide our programming and our services for the entire month, each month of the year. And this is the time of year that our Programs and Partnerships Department actually works with the programming staff across all the public libraries to develop the next fiscal year's worth of monthly program themes. So to come up with that list, we draw on local customs and themes that relate to our demographics in Albany, as well as national themes. And the goal is to, of course, make people feel welcome and to highlight some of the national and local themes that people are thinking about anyway. So, for example, next month or in May, it's Asian American Pacific Islanders Heritage Month. So that's one angle that we're taking on programming. This month is Poetry Month, etc. So we have a lot of resources that we use to kind of build these program themes every year. And I just wanted to call attention to the fact that that actually happens at the library, because you may not know how we come up with these themes. And in other March news, we did get a jump on our community report and budget information sessions at all of Albany's many neighborhood associations. So I've been presenting, and a couple of the other managers have been presenting at these neighborhood association meetings. In terms of my outreach activities, I met with the mayor's new director of intergovernmental affairs. Her name is Liz Maria Penn. And another note from outreach that I wanted to mention was that I attended the ACT Now Albany Climate Change Open House, which was held at the West Hill Community Center, and it was really engaging kind of culmination of months of ideas and brainstorming that were gathered by the sustainability department. So it was great to be there for that event and represent the library in sustainability efforts that are citywide. I know Trustee Marlowe already covered most of the Friends of Foundation news. I would only add that that, well, actually, I don't really have anything to add. She did a really good job of covering it. The new website is the lead story. And we'll go into the finance report with Director of Finance, Adam Stone.
Okay, so I just want to update here. So, we did discover in recent weeks that we were the victim of check fraud. Basically, it appears what happened is that a third party intercepted a check that was meant to one of our vendors and altered the payee information. So they were able to cash the check made up to themselves. It was a fairly large check. It was over $18,000. It was sent to one of our software vendors. So fortunately, we were able to recover 100% of the funds. We worked with the bank to accomplish that. There have been no additional signs since then. So, final appearances, it appears it's a one-time attempt with any luck. And since that, we have implemented additional safeguards to prevent any unauthorized checks from clearing our account going forward. Anyone has any questions on that, please feel free to ask.
Trustee West, so, I have a couple of questions. Has the library ever thought about moving to a direct pay and ACH payment for vendors? So a total to just eliminate checks?
So we've started to do that with a handful of vendors. I think ultimately it is our goal to continue to move in that direction and really eliminate the focus on checks. The logistics of doing that and for example, it's something I want to discuss with the auditors just to make sure, we have multiple signatures on $10,000 checks. What do we do if we're not paying that check? How can we still retain the same level of, checks and balances? But yeah, I think in general, that is our goal. And so we're sort of making baby steps towards them, I think.
And perhaps if you do it, if you target certain vendors at a time, so maybe if you target the insurance vendors first, and then you take the payroll vendors and then, and just do it that way. But yeah, I think that it saves money in the long run, not issuing checks. And it definitely helps with, security.
I totally agree. Yeah, and like I said, I think that is what we're aiming towards. So hopefully it's just a matter of time until we can make better reality.
I would also have to be filed with this report and took all the proper steps on that account as well. But yeah. Thanks, Adam. Incidents were down, thanks in part to our new head of public safety, Mark Fletcher. So last month they dropped from 61 to 45. I don't know if it was all down tonight, but we'll give him good credit for some of that. Our system statistics elsewhere, we'll talk about that, I'm sorry, in the next point. Under community engagement, our library assistant was asked to be part of Mayor Clears's Activate Albany Youth Strategies Policy Committee, which is pretty cool. So Aubrey attended the first meeting in March and looks forward to being part of that effort to empower the youth of Albany and provide opportunities to grow and thrive in the city. Under programs and partnerships.
Can I just interrupt really quickly? I feel like we hear a lot about Aubrey and all the good work that they're doing, and it would be great if Aubrey could come talk to us.
Oh, I bet Aubrey would love to do that. Okay, noted. Under programs and partnerships, we were so delighted to be invited to the school district annual professional development day to talk about what APL has to offer to school staff and students and families. We held 2 sessions on that day. A group of, I think, 3 APLers went, and they had a lot of really good engagement with educators and with school staff. And it's, always great to be building that relationship in particular. Featured programs in April revolve around Autism Month, the Poetry Month, Jazz Appreciation Month. So plenty going on around those themes. I like to call out some highlights from each branch. At Arbor Hill Westville, in March, we had a really great showing with our Together We Move toddler and caregiver dance time. nothing better than a toddler dance party. At Bach, we had a great music program for Women's History Month with a flute and cello duo. At Delaware, we held a couple of outreach events at Thomas O'Brien Academy and Academy of Science and Technology. That's supposed to be. And pardon? Toast. Okay, let's say toast. Thank you. And we also attended and tabled at a literacy night at Delaware Community School. At Howe, we have a new writers workshop program capably led by librarian Alyssa. At North Albany, we had a new fiber arts program, and that is connected to a larger community project, a community blanket project organized by our Programs and Partnerships Department. At Pine Hills, we partnered once again with the Historic Albany Foundation to host a repair cafe, and these continue to be extraordinarily popular. We had 14 volunteers donate their time, and 82 folks turned up with all kinds of things to fix and left with sharper knives and fixed appliances. And at Washington Avenue, Danielle, one of our adult services librarians, hosted a Shakespeare Macbeth performance, and there were 67 people in attendance, which is also a really great turnout for a Shakespeare event. Wanted to call out under collection management services that Comics Plus continues to be discovered by people. Every time we promote it, we see more people discover and download the app and start borrowing some of the great graphic novels and comics in that collection. And in really, really great human resources news, Civil Service has added some of our titles to the New York Helps program. So librarian 1, 2, 3, library clerk, library page, public safety specialist. And we are very hopeful that library assistant will be approved in the next few months, which would be another huge win for us. New York Helps program, is a it removes barriers to employment, which is a wonderful thing. For us, it saves time, it reduces the length of time between hires. It's great. And finally, under facilities, we did some rewiring here at Washington Avenue and moved a printer to a better place for the printer, and all the staff are just thrilled. Patrons love it too. So that was a nice low cost win for better traffic patterns here at Washington Avenue. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
That's me, I'm so sorry. Moving on to monthly statistics.
Sure. So there are 2 reports with statistics this month. The regular view that you see each month, and then we also included the Upper Hudson quarterly report about digital content. So starting with our general system statistics, our overall door count is up year to date, led by increases at Bach, Pine Hills, Delaware, Howe, and North Albany. Overall circulation was also up over 2025 or fiscal 25, excuse me, with increases in Washington, Pine Hills, Howe, and in digital content. Pine Hills was added to the Wi-Fi system, and actually this resulted in an interesting phenomenon. Our new Wi-Fi outdoor access points are stronger than our previous ones, and we've had to figure out a way to, going forward from April on, kind of rein that in, because it was extending so far that it was reaching like businesses and a whole school and the whole neighborhood. So it's like reverse inequity or that's not quite the right way to say it, but people shouldn't have access to our strong Wi-Fi just because they're lucky enough to live sort of close enough to Pine Hills. Like, we really needed to rein that in so that we know with some certainty that the statistics that we're reporting out on are in fact reflective of the public use of the Wi-Fi at the library or right near the library. So that's an adjustment that we're making, and I wanted to ask you about it. You'll notice in the Upper Hudson quarterly report that a lot of those ebook, audiobook, all of the formats are down except for periodicals, and that is directly related to cutting hoopla out of our collection. We did that for all of the good reasons I've spoken about, but if you have any questions about any of those numbers, please feel free to ask. People continue to just discover the periodicals within Overdrive, and they're so easy to download and enjoy on any device that just people just really, once they discovered them, they start using them a lot. So we're happy to see that use continue to grow. And that's pretty much what I wanted to say about the quarterly report, if you don't have it, but I think the next question is attendance.
I would check out more books if they were in the catalog. Just saying.
We are gonna be adding more, leasing more of those ebooks,
Not in notify me. In my thing, and she said, when we do it, it's like telling. When she reported it, she said, you get notified me, and I'm like, it sucks, cause you start a series and you're missing like 7 books. In the series, and it jumps to book 11.
it's a painful wait.
Yes, I know, I see it 3 times, and it's exaggerated.
Thank you for your continued patience, but yeah, we're gonna continue to grow that collection, believe me.
Thank you. We have no unfinished business. So moving on to new business, the schedule of service for 2026.
Yeah, so we have to revisit July, the 4th of July falls on a Saturday, and what I propose to you to consider, excuse me, is to offer a floating holiday in addition to being closed on that Saturday, because otherwise it's a completely inequitable holiday for our staff. So that's the way in which we normally address holidays that fall on a weekend. We missed it this year, and I apologize for the oversight, but the recommendation is to approve a floating holiday that can be used by staff.
So the staff who would normally work that Saturday get a floater.
No, we'll be closed on that Saturday, and everyone will get a floater.
Okay. I assume we need a motion to accept that. Is there, before I ask for a motion, does anyone have any additional questions? Is there a motion to alter the schedule of service to allow for a floating holiday on July 4th?
July 3rd.
Well,
Yeah.
I was looking at where.
Yes.
Right.
It won't be, yeah.
Yeah, with a floating holiday, basically everyone gets it basically after the 4th, so, or after the 30th, as you say, so they will be able to use it anytime after that. Within the.
So I move that we accept the 2026 public library schedule of service with the caveat that there be a floater holiday, in place of, that there be a floater holiday in the month of July.
Then the comment,
So it will be a friendly amendment, not a
or
comment.
friendly amendment, well, I guess it would be, we're having a discussion about the motion, right?
No, I just made a motion. So you would make an amendment.
I would make an amendment that-
So being said.
I just, I don't know how to word it. The wording I am seeking, or is that the motion?
July out.
Yeah, because then it sounds like we would say the floater can only be used in July and be used any
So,
time in that
so
year.
I knew that, and I purposefully said it, because from an HR standpoint, you don't want a day hanging out there forever, right? So let's say it becomes October and Bob is saying, hey, I forgot to take my Florida holiday, I want to take it. You really should be taking your holiday, your floaters or your flex time, or giving notice that you're gonna take it in October. So they would need to say, this is just my recommendation. That, hey, this is coming up, I know I get a Florida holiday, this is when I want to take it. So they should be providing notice to HR that they're intending on taking this holiday during this specific month. If it's not occurring in July, it really should occur when you're making any changes to your schedule, it should really occur within that 7 day period.
Is that how the other floaters are handled? Cause I feel that it should be
For the
consistent.
following, for the following day period,
So
but it should, I'm saying it should.
understood, trustee West. I think, I hear everything you're saying, with respect to floating holidays and how they've been handled. Basically, once granted, the staff can take a floating holiday anytime in the rest of that, calendar year. And, it is also true that they need to work with their supervisor to get it approved within, a proper amount of notice, like. That, and that's true for any time, any PTO that staff have, so we treat it similarly to vacation time and other floating holiday time where. Staff are required to seek approval and get approval from their supervisor in order to be scheduled off on the day that they want to use as their floating holiday.
And I get it, I'm just saying for tracking purposes, it has the ability to become difficult. If there's not a great tracking system. Or if you have one person tracking 114 employees.
We, yeah, understood. The way that we track floating holidays is through Paylocity, the
Okay.
system.
Through your system, okay. Well. So what's your main, we're gonna offer them?
Yeah, so I think we just to remove July and maybe if you wanna,
So I will restate my motion, that we accept the 2026 Albany Public Library Scheduled Service, with, a floating holiday in, recognizing, the closure on the.
is there a second? Ellen, I second. All in favor? Passes unanimously, thank you.
Thank you very much on behalf of the staff. Thank you.
All right, moving along, strategic plan progress report.
Yeah, so you'll find a memo about our progress so far. I actually just looked back at the contract that we have with Library Strategies, who we've really been enjoying working with so far. And I pulled the assets and services that were promised in that contract in order to kind of form this memo for you. So we've been assigned the co-lead consultants from Library Strategies and a project manager, actually more project manager plus, because we also have access to William Katz, who is one of their lead project managers, as well as Susan Weissner. The audit of requested background materials is, I believe, now complete. They certainly have access to a wealth of those background materials that they requested. And all of that is in the Google Drive that they established for kind of managing all of the documents around the strategic plan. They have scheduled they've had one meeting of the steering committee, and they're scheduling the additional meeting for, I believe, after the survey results come in. They have held regular bi-weekly core team meetings, and those are meetings that take place between the project manager and the consultants and the small group of leadership team members, myself, Melanie Metzger, and Diana DiCarlo, our head of branch services. So those meetings are just bi-weekly check-ins about the process. They have led a benchmarking analysis and have provided a draft report, which I look forward to sharing with you at some point. I need to check in with them about the status of that and when it would be good to share that, what needs to be done still, and get that out to you. And the source session, of course, you experienced a source session as a board tonight. They've also scheduled a staff source session that's taking place this Friday, the 17th, from 9:30 to 11:30, and that will be held virtually. And we have supported staff so that the managers, supervisors have made sure that they scheduled the staff to be available for for those, for that source session. We're not gonna get like 100% of the staff who are eligible to attend, but we have scheduled over 25 staff members at this point, I believe. And actually, just because one of our consultants will be in town a little bit early, she's offered to hold an additional leadership source session with just the leadership team of the library, which are all of my direct reports, plus our head of HR. And that's going to be held on the 22nd from 1 to 3. So I'm really grateful to Library Strategies for adding that on in our the library. We're also going to strategies consultants, library strategies consultants are going to be leading some interviews with key community leaders, including our mayor, hopefully, and a number of others that are going to be scheduled soon. And the survey is out. So we launched it on Friday, and we're going to be supporting that launch and publicity around it in a number of ways that are listed here, but we're also offering a prize incentive of free $50 downtown Albany gift cards. Downtown Albany gift cards give you basically it's just a gift card that you can spend at like a whole list of downtown locations. Everything from Skinny Pancake to McGreevy's, McGarry's, and there's also a Photoshop that's called
McGreevy's.
Okay. I always get those confused. One is a bar, another is a Photoshop. I think you can use the Downtown Albany gift card at both. So it's just a nice way to also like give back to the community in addition to creating this incentive instead of like an Amazon gift card. We're going to be promoting the survey in a whole slew of ways. We've already got flyers in the branches that are advertising the prize and that have the QR code. We also have paper copies available, of course, for those folks who really want to fill out their survey on paper. We have LED screens in all of our branches, and there's a slider advertising the survey. We're sharing information through word of mouth at all of our service desks. We're including announcements in our email newsletter, and we have a banner on our website right now. Usually that banner is reserved for emergency closings or things of that nature. Of course, we'll still use it that way if and when we need to, but for the time being, we're also using it as a place to advertise our survey. And finally, we'll rely on emails to library partners that come from me, from all of you. We're all encouraged to promote this survey because we want plenty of people to fill it out. It takes about 8 to 10 minutes to complete, and I would, of course, encourage you all to complete it if you haven't already. Our consultants are also scheduling 4 focus group sessions, and we have between 6 and 15 attendees at each of these that have been scheduled. So those are healthy numbers by our consultants' estimation, and we're happy that we got so many yeses response to those focus group invitations. And finally, the target approval date for the completed plan is June 9th. But if the board has any questions about any of these steps of the process, I'm happy to address.
So, can you talk again about how the focus groups were put together? And are those sessions open to other people to sit in on, or they're just closed to those focus groups?
They're closed, and they're basically invitation only. And the charge for the steering committee members were asked to contribute names from their respective, groups. We had someone from the schools who nominated a bunch of people who are associated with schools and so forth. So the steering committee were sort of like the super connectors of this process. And they gave us, I think I sent out like 115 invitations and individual email invitations to the people who were on this list that was compiled by members of the steering committee. So that's how we arrived at, the groupings of we asked each of the people who were invited to respond to one of the 4 focus group opportunities, and that's how they were built.
The steering committee is. Can you remind me who is the steering committee? And I'm sorry, because I'm just trying to keep track of, because there's the ad hoc strategic planning committee, which is different than the steering committee.
Yeah.
Which is different than
The focus
the
groups.
core team.
Yes, that's correct. It is a complex process. It's true.
So that one's.
And yeah,
Folks, I'm involved in a lot of those, and I also struggle keeping them straight. I'm kind of with stuff,
yeah, so very grateful for our steering committee members and just pulling up that list. So we have an elected official in Wusu Hanane. We have school administrator and Priya Mercer, who's the secondary instructional supervisor for ELA King and Library Media from the city school district. We have Donna Neiman, who is from the Albany International Center School, fourth grade teacher. Heather Ardrey, who is a homeschooling representative, but also is a community leader. We have Kathy DeBora, who is the manager of member engagement for the Capital Region Chamber of Commerce. Yaira Chrisbergs, who is the director of adult education, refugee and immigrant, but from the RISE at Refugee Immigrant Support Services of MAS. From civic groups, we have Chandra LeGrone, who's the executive director of Inner Voices, and former library trustee Dennis Gaffney, and Friends and Foundation of APL member Haley Amos. In addition to the ad hoc committee members from the board. And myself.
And was a comment to all my questions. I really love the downtown library, or down, I mean, Albany, right, Albany, the downtown Albany gift card, idea.
That was Melanie's idea. She gets credit for that.
I wish other communities would do that. I keep searching for my friends that live in Atlanta or Syracuse. I was like, no, they have one.
Yeah, it's a great idea, and even when we were doing the SOAR earlier, I was thinking of that as a unique example.
I have a question that kind of piggybacks off that. So it said the 811 interviews with key community leaders identified by the project team as critical stakeholders. Are there certain rubrics that you're using to identify them?
Yeah, I mean, basically, we're trying to give the interview opportunities to people who are really, really hard to schedule, like the superintendent of schools, the mayor, and other individuals who have like deep history with the library. Another interview subject may be Susan Kaufman, who is the current secretary of the Friends and Foundation Board, and she's also like the longest serving member of the Friends and Foundation. But if you have ideas for other interview subjects, I'd be happy to hear them.
Maybe Jack.
Oh, that's a great name.
But definitely. And maybe even we said to the board.
Anyway, that's another really good. Thank you.
I do believe Arlene was put forward in the. I saw her name in the list of people getting put forward for the focus groups.
Yeah, she may be involved in a focus group already, actually, I don't remember, but either way, we'll definitely reach out, thank you.
I mean, so, cause it's like if you're doing 8 interviews, so I'm assuming it's 8 people, 1 interview, 8 people.
That's right.
And you just kind of want to make sure you get a very diverse group and a diverse homegrown group. So I'm not saying that you don't want to do superintendent of school, but all of it, like because you're doing the Albany Public Library. So that's just my thought. So that's why I'm saying, Jack's a great idea because Jack's read books and, you know what I mean? He was selling them for a long time, just, that's one thing. Matter of fact, a perfect person would be former Mayor Jennings. I'm dead serious.
I just remember making this neighbor and having this everywhere, and that is what makes him good, but it just was that.
Because he is a genuine, he cares about the community for real, it's not that. And before he was mayor, he's consistent principal, you know what I mean? So he's been in a community and he grew up on what, Second Avenue?
Yeah. Thank you for those suggestions. I welcome them from anyone on the board, reach out, text, email. But thank you very much. I've written all of this.
Any further questions, comments about the strategic plan progress report?
The only question I have is related to the community survey. So especially just did, our consultants mentioned they want non-library users to respond, and it looks like a great list of people who are already plugged into the library, but I'm not sure what the approach is for getting that survey to people who don't necessarily go to our libraries and our library website.
Yeah, these are the hardest to get
Yeah.
people for the survey. But I think that's where you can play a role, because I guarantee you that everyone at this table has access to a group of people who may not use the library as much as you do. So I would encourage you to think about those networks and think about ways to connect with potential groups of non-users. I think that posting the survey flyer in places that, you know, are a little unconventional would also be a way to maybe get some eyeballs on it that wouldn't ordinarily be on it. So if you know of community bulletin boards in places that, you know, I don't know, golf club, I don't know, not to accuse golfers of not being library users, but you know what I mean, like unconventional venues, that would be good. I can make sure that you all have the survey so that you can print it and post it wherever you see fit. Yeah.
Any additional comments, questions? Right, moving on to web content accessibility guidelines compliance plan.
Yeah, it's a mouthful, right?
But I did it.
Yeah. We're calling it WCAG, which is a terrible acronym to pronounce out loud, but anyway. That's how a lot of people are referring to it these days. So we are one of thousands of state and local governments that fall under Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act, and we're working with our web developer to become compliant. This will take money and time, and it's not something that we necessarily will be able to fit into this fiscal year, but the important thing is to just have a plan and have a plan by the 26th. So this is the beginning of the plan. Basically, what you're seeing here is an outline that we are going to be able to say, you know, we are aware of this change that has come. We want to be compliant. We want our website and everything that the library offers to be accessible as possible. And, you know, even if this weren't a Department of Justice final rule, we would want to do this. So it involves like alternative text for images on your website, captioning and transcripts for multimedia, keyboard navigability, logical heading structures, color contrast and readability, and searchable machine readable documents, which we're kind of prioritizing the searchable machine readable documents because of course that's like this is a public trust, this is a public organization, and having readable documents in the form of, or rather the agendas, the materials for the meetings is a very important step in being transparent to the community. So that's kind of what we're working on first, making sure that our board documents are machine readable. And staff have been participating in the trainings that have been offered through various, like the Capital District Library Council, New York Library Association. Everyone is aware of these, and there are lots of trainings that have come out recently in support of these changes. So, over it is our web developer, and we've also had a meeting with them, and you'll be hearing much more about it in the months to come. So this is kind of where we're at present. And thank you to legal counsel for helping us along with regard to making sure that we actually fall into the category of organizations that have this like 2026 deadline.
I have a question. So I very much enjoy the APL social media stuff. How does that get impacted with accessibility? Does each post do you have to go back to posts to describe what the pictures are of, or?
This will be a future, like a doing better in the future kind of thing. We can't go back and retro engineer all of our, that would really be a job. But I've actually noticed some of this in just, my regular, like my own personal like Instagram feed, like you'll see the alternate text for the image is listed like within the description of the post. So that's just one way, that I've seen this kind of surfacing, in what are otherwise traditional social media posts, and we would be seeking to comply in that way. So, and I don't even know what the other ways are at this point, but I know that image recognition is one of them.
It just seems like a really big task.
Yeah. It's a big task no matter what, but it's the right thing to do.
Do we have an existing policy around this, or does this require a policy that we then have as part of our going forward?
I don't think so because it's the law.
Okay.
So I think that covers it, but we'll of course look at that and see if it's necessary down the road. And I don't think so at this point, but
There's no policy, but
Oh, I'm not aware of a policy, for this specific matter. Which is involved, it's a compliance. But there's nothing.
thank you.
Any additional questions? Right. Moving on to the New York State Annual Report for 2025.
Okay, so thank you, Melanie, for suffering through the new format of this report. So the state had to completely reinvent this report, and the new platform is working quite well, but there are hiccups with it. So as a system, the Upper Hudson Library system, people who are engaged in filling out this report have been trading a lot of tips and tricks, and there's also a place in the report to record some of the issues that have come up with this transition. But one of the things that we noticed as we were going through it, and the first thing in this, or the first heading in this memo has to do with library collection numbers. So we at first thought that somehow we had seen our adult fiction collection drop by 50%, which seemed a little extraordinary, even though we had a big weeding project going on. So on closer examination, we discovered that that was an incorrect holding figure that had appeared in the 2024 data set. So I just want to reassure you that our 2024 adult fiction holdings figure was actually 78,000, and our 2025 adult fiction holdings increased a little bit to 80,000. So that's one note. The other note, library programs, policies, and services. We had to include a note about our new door counter technology. So you've seen that information before because we had to report out to you many months ago when we implemented a new door counter, but we had to include a note in the annual reports that the state would understand the difference between the 2024 number and the 25 number. We also observed a significant 65% decrease in registered borrowers, but that was due to Upper Hudson purging expired cards from the system. And that was something that the Directors Association and everyone involved knew about and was completely consenting so far as like, so it's always proper to housekeep in a system that way. So that purge was expected, planned, and with everyone's knowledge. We saw a 45% increase in live programs, and that's thanks to all the work we did in response to the community survey that we conducted in early 2024, I think it was. And we also saw a 33% increase in program attendance between 2024 and 2025. Under library transactions, again, we've noted the reference transactions drop, and we really don't have a super clear insight about that decrease. But reference staff do record those transactions by hand, and we may just need to come up with a different way of tracking those transactions, because I've spoken about this before, but when it gets really busy at the desk, it's very hard, especially if the tracking sheet is buried under other papers at the desk. It's hard to remember to actually make those tick marks. So we may need to do like a weekly audit or something. We may need to just reconfigure how we are doing these counts so that it's not so onerous on staff to do them. Because we're very busy and we know we're busy, but it's, you know, it's also a lot of computer assistance and a lot of like, where's the bathroom? But the directionals and the, you know, we need a way of tracking all of it. And so we have to continue to fine tune that, that method. So any questions about the annual report data or anything else?
Right. None. Move forward.
Oh, actually, you need to accept the report. That's a motion. Sorry, I should have led with that, probably, my bad.
Sorry, is there a motion to accept the New York State Annual Report for Public and Association Libraries 2025 from APL?
Alan, I hope to accept this report.
Jackson, second.
All in favor?
Passes
Unanimously, thank you.
Thank you, Melanie, and all of the staff who contributed, all of the information for this report, because it's a lot. So thank you.
Right. Moving over next to the community report.
Okay, so I'm going to basically share with you the report that I've shared at neighborhood associations across Albany. Recently, we I think we're up to like 12 now, and we've got, you know, all of the rest of April and right up to May 19th, right up to the budget vote. So I'm going to share with you the community report and the budget information that I've been sharing with all of these groups. Thanks. Right. Okay. So I normally start by telling folks that this is the time of year that we always share how the library served the community in the prior calendar year, and how that kind of leads into what we're asking for the year ahead. So it's a two-parter. We talk about services first, and in part two, we get into the budget vote and trustee election. So starting with a high-level summary, of our most vital services to the community. These are the top-level figures that we also focus on for the annual report to the state. You'll see there are some notable increases across this summary. Notably volunteer and intern hours. We established the community engagement department I think at the end of 2023 or early 2024 and that was at no extra personnel cost to the library. That was just reorganizing our staffing model. But as a result of establishing that department, we were able to reboot our volunteer program and our internship programs and work with a number of new organizations. And I'm so thrilled with the performance of that department in particular, led by Rebecca Lubin and with library assistant Aubrey. Museum and adventure passes, that use was also up 18%. And that was in part due to, I think, the ease of use of the new online reservation system that we have, as well as the addition of some new passes that I'll talk about later. Digital circulation was up 14% and room use was also up 12%. And I think a lot of that also is down to still the new room reservation system that we have. So I'm going to move into some of the more granular categories now. And I want to start with circulation. So we continue to see a shift between physical use and digital use at the library, and the digital use continues to grow in popularity. We have seen overall from 2019 to present an 118% increase in digital content use. So that's not only the ebooks and audiobooks that are downloadable through Libby, but also now the content that's available through Comics Plus. In terms of our community spaces, so we talk about the fact that, yes, library programs obviously take place in all of our branches and all of our community spaces, but we also want to highlight the fact that the community has access to all of these spaces through our booking system, and you can reserve space for free. You can hold a craft group like this Ladybug craft group. We're really pleased with this feedback that we got from the Ladybug Craft group because it not only shows people how the meeting rooms are used by community groups, it also showcases the fact that young people are using our spaces to build community, which is a cool thing. We also see groups like the Albany Zine Club, Mommy and Me clubs, youth activist groups, theater groups, and story and writing groups. I also want to finally note that study room use accounts for 90% of our overall room use, and study rooms have become really popular spots for people to do Zoom job interviews in particular. Library fueled adventures. So we offer, and I'm highlighting 3 different categories of library fueled adventures in this slide. First, the museum and adventure passes that we offer. I spoke about the increase in use that we saw. We added 3 new passes in 2025, the Egg Presents Madison Theater Pass and the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame in Saratoga. We've also ramped up our local history programming. So we partner with Discover Albany, city historian Antonio Palca, Albany Institute for Art and History, and the Underground Railroad Education Center, Historic Albany Foundation. All of these organizations we look to for brainstorming, ideas, planning, and as a result, we've tripled our numbers of local history programs. And you'll see in the May and June program guide that our local history programs are featured on the front. And we're seeing a lot of really good engagement through local history programming, and I'm really pleased with it. Albany Made Creative Lab Makerspace continues to offer really unique programs, and we partner with UAlbany, local artisans, and organizations like Upstitch to teach classes in the Albany Made Creative Lab Makerspace. I want to talk a little bit about growing readers and your right to read and how it is protected. So early literacy support. We really believe that those years before kindergarten are critical, and we know from science that they are critical in nurturing the love of reading in families and in children who are not yet in school. So this is a really important stepping stone. The Growing Readers program is free and open to all children 0 through 5 across the district. We've actually added a number of bilingual programs. In 2025, we offered story times in Arabic and Farsi, and this spring we're offering a regular Spanish bilingual story time at North Albany. And soon we're going to be offering American Sign Language and French story times as well. At the library, we also protect your right to read. And of course, this board is heavily engaged in protecting that right to read. You all signed on to the Unite Against Book Bans initiative of the American Library Association years ago. And I take every opportunity to remind the community of that because it's a message that really resonates. I think, people in Albany definitely don't take that right for granted. And we see great turnouts at our banned books events every year. In terms of community engagement, which I've spoken about a little bit prior, we were able to reboot this volunteer and internship program. We have a picture here on the left of some tabling that took place at the grand opening of Washington Park Playground this past year. In the center, featured College of St. Rose Yearbook Digitization Project intern and librarian Danielle, who helped digitize that collection, part of that collection, I should say. We're still hoping to move forward with digitizing the rest of it. But that was a grant-funded project, and we were able to partner with UAlbany to bring in this wonderful intern who helped us with that project. And I always also like to mention that volunteers are regularly stepping into the Bleecker mascot costume. This is something that people love to hear about at community meetings. The fact that if you are 5'5" or 5'6", you can potentially become part of the roster and be Bleecker. You're 5'5"?
Yeah.
Okay, you make the cut. So
See her face.
It's a really nice way if you want to support the library in a sort of incognito way. It's a wonderful way to volunteer for the library. I'm going to get into the budget vote and trustee election information now, and I always start with some recent budget history. So you've all, of course, heard this, but I really want to always remind the community, start off by reminding the community of the fact that in 2007, voters approved that 29.1 million branch improvement plan that really expanded library services in the city of Albany and created these walkable neighborhood branches, established the Arbor Hill West Hill branch, established the Bach branch, renovated the other branches, and created this 7-branch system that is so cherished in the city of Albany. That said, we have kept the operating budget tax increases quite minimal since that branch improvement plan was completed. And for 5 years between 2011 and present, there were no library tax increases whatsoever. So we weren't even, the operating budget wasn't even on the ballot in those years. And there are, good explanations for each one of them. Everyone was making the best decisions with the information they had. In the case of the pandemic years, of course, we had no information. We had no idea what was going to happen. But in the remaining years, those tax increases were kept under the tax cap. And so the average increase since 2011, if you look at the average annual increase, it's 1.62% versus the rate of inflation in the capital region, which was closer to 2.6%. So that disparity is part of the reason why we are where we are. In terms of our current financial status, and you all know this very well, but we have seen a large reduction to our fund balance last year in the form of the $730,000 deficit that we realized, and we're on track to realize a similar painful deficit at the end of this fiscal year. Those losses come out of our reserve funds, and that is not sustainable. We need to have healthy reserve funds so that we can, for one thing, be eligible for construction grants that are reimbursed after we make the construction cost outlay. We also need reserve funds because we don't receive our tax levy until October, and that means for the first 3 months of the fiscal year, we must have, at the very minimum, 2.5 million in reserves, and we're getting dangerously close to that red line at this point. So with the operating budget tax levy that is proposed for fiscal 27, we are protecting all of our current branches, all of our current branch hours. We are balancing the operating budget, and we are establishing a contingency and capital improvements line that will help us address those rainy day needs that we will inevitably have with 6 facilities to run. And I say 6 because North Albany is technically managed by the school district. So while the operating budget increase that's proposed does amount to 17% over last year's operating budget tax levy. I want to note that for a home assessed at 250,000, which is in the mid-range of this assessment scale, those homeowners would see their library taxes go up by about $40. So wherever you land on this, and obviously you can use this to help you understand what extra in dollars you will be paying if this budget passes. However, this is also combined with the debt service that the community is still paying down through 2037. And when you combine the debt service percentage with the tax levy increase percentage, it actually comes out to a 14.5% increase over what you paid in library taxes total last year. I also remind the community that 93% of our operating budget is tax dollars. So we do not have a whole lot of other resources in terms of non-tax revenue. Our non-tax revenue is very, very important, but it only amounts to about $600,000 on an annual basis. And that does fluctuate year to year, as we've seen happen with the pilot payments. Those pilot payments had been coming in at 400,000 in as recently as 2019, 2020. Those have dropped down to, as you can see, 191,000 that we saw last year. And so it's not a stable source of non-tax revenue. And that's been really kind of a big lesson of the recent past. So if there's no increase or less than the proposed tax increase for fiscal 27, we will have to work together to figure out what services would need to be cut. So I remind the community that the generic categories of things that would need to be cut include branch closures, reduced hours, and reduced staffing. So looking ahead, I spoke about the strategic plan with you all earlier, but I do like to also take this opportunity to remind the community in the presentation that we have a strategic planning process that's going on right now, and it is a scalable strategic plan, of course. So no matter what the future holds, we're going to have a roadmap that is informed by the community as to how we want to use our library resources, whatever they are, how we are going to use those library resources. So now that the survey is out, I would take this opportunity to remind the community to fill out the survey, to share the survey with their friends. I think I've mentioned this, but it's going out on social media today, and so it'll be easier to share that way for a lot of folks, and I'll be sure to make that point in community reports going forward. I also remind everyone that having a strategic plan is a minimum standard in the state of New York. So all public libraries are required to have a strategic plan, a long-range plan that guides them for 3 to 5 years. And finally, of course, a reminder that May 19th is the budget vote and trustee election, that there are 3 trustee seats open, 2 5-year terms, which are full terms, and 1 partial 1-year term. And you can find all the information about how to get on the ballot on our budget page. And candidates are out there collecting signatures on petitions. There are 65 signatures that are required. And all of those petitions get turned into the city, to the school district clerk. And then, the candidate forum is coming right up on May 5th, excuse me. So that'll be an opportunity for the community to hear from the candidates themselves and also hear another community report and budget presentation from me. So yeah, I think that is that concludes the presentation. And I finally, of course, always share my contact information with anyone who wants to contact me, and encourage them to contact me, and I'm happy to respond to emails, usually within 48 hours at the very maximum. So yeah, any questions about this report or the budget information that I share and how I share it?
So I have a question that you've been doing budget chats with the executive director, right?
Yes, budget table talks. Yes, they've been scheduled at all 7 locations. 4 have taken place so far, and I had 2 people at the Bach branch table talk. I didn't see anyone at North Albany. I didn't see anyone at Arbor Hill, West Hill. I did have someone at the Howe branch who I chatted with for an hour. I think that person is a trustee candidate. So that was a useful conversation. But I mean, they're all useful, but that was kind of 2 birds, 1 stone kind of situation. Anyway, so I haven't seen a huge turnout at the table talks, but we still have a few to go. And of course, we're also publicizing the fact that I am going to be at these neighborhood association meetings. Some neighborhood associations have said, hey, no problem, promote our neighborhood association where you're going to be giving the community report and budget talk to anyone who wants to come, not just the neighborhood association. So we've been pushing those out as well as opportunities. And we have, all the other things, the handouts at branches and regular social media updates about the coming vote.
Will you have paper copies of the survey at the remaining meetings that you're going to?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a very good idea. As well as maybe another slide with the QR code.
Or you could put it on the slide that has the QR code to the.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We should just replace that QR code with the survey one. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yes, it will happen. It's a good idea. Thank you. Once we finish the community report, the instinct is to just go forward with it, but it's so true that we gotta update it as we go along with the new information that we have. So yes, we will absolutely do that. Any other questions or comments about the report? I've been really enjoying all of these neighborhood associations that I've visited. It's a great opportunity for me to learn what is going on in the community and hear about the other initiatives that are happening. So, the Green Act, I've been hearing a lot about the US Postal Service and how letter delivery is going in the city of Albany. It's a very important way that I also, get the temperature of the city in a lot of different ways, from a lot of different perspectives, I should say. And people are full of really good questions, and I'm happy to field them, keep fielding them. Thank you.
Thank you. The last item on the new business is a summary of the quarterly board evaluation. I was excited and talked about it earlier in your executive committee. So you don't need to hear it again. Please know that we appreciate your comments and have, as you can see by this changed agenda, tried to take them to heart to keep us moving as smoothly as possible. Is there additional public comment? Yes, there is.
So you'll just state your name and address at the mic.
Sure. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jerome Garrett Jr. My street address is 35 Stevens Street, between 2nd and 3rd Avenue. My comment and question is, I thought long and hard about this. I run my own consulting firm. It's called Agape Cooperative Community Project here, only 2 doors down from where you are at, 111 Washington Avenue, right here in this great city of Albany. And I have now been able to take over some of the programming that the late Father Young has done in the city of Albany. And I'm not here to be an agitator. I'm not here to, do anything but to encourage you guys to be the library of the people that you see on the outside of your library. And a lot of the things that when we wanted to have a program on May 2nd, which we are still having, it's called In the Need Of. And that is, there's so many people that are in need of something. And as a consulting firm and as Agape Ministries, we are just trying to help people where they're at. And sometimes, people are they're homeless and they're just sitting outside waiting for you to come in. Okay. And some people, uh, are just trying to, figure a way out of, be it probation, parole, out of college, out of high school, and they're just trying to figure out a way in. And what one of the things that was a problem with this program on May the 2nd is that we were going to have a light food. Now we read the policy, okay, and it was very interesting to me that we couldn't have any food. It had because the room that was available didn't have a kitchen, and we didn't need a kitchen, and we're just going to have finger foods, and we've seen other organizations have finger foods and pizza and wings. And, if you're going to do something for one person, or one group, you got to do it for others. Um, it has to be totally the same for everybody. And again, I when we started in 2011, when we started ACCP in 2011, Arbor Hill and Howell Library were instrumental in getting our consulting firm started and on its roll. We've gotten over $65 million worth of grants. Okay. Working with General Electric, um, Hannaford, or some of you guys might know them as also Food Lion in the United States, with Walmart, with the federal government, with AmeriCorps. So we know what we're doing, but we want to make it not just another energetic melodic adventure where we're just sitting outside just doing we do one good program and that's it. What we want to do is we want to become holistic, and that we all can, that the library can be that community center, almost like Ben Franklin had said many years ago. So my comment and question is, number one, my question is, um, if the food thing is a problem, okay, then we can handle that, and then we'll work with the restaurants. And after the event is over, we'll take everybody to a restaurant. But if you're gonna do my thing is if you're gonna do one thing for one person, okay, then you got to do it for the other. Okay, and that's really key. And number two, I really feel that we can really reach out to the different multicultural communities. We can reach out to the local churches that are sitting sometimes right, like how library, you have Mount Zion right there, like literally across the block. So we need to reach out to them. Literacy, the books. I'm an African studies professor. Okay. I'm also a sociological professor, the first Black professor at Johnstown Community College. So, we have a lot of books that I'm able to bring into the lexicon, if you allow me to say, of Albany Public Libraries. We worked with, when Toni Morrison was alive, she was at the University at Albany. We have Pulitzer Prize winning writer Dr. Alan Ballard, who is right here in Clifton Park, and goes to one of the local churches here. So I'm saying that what we can do is bring, utilize the people that you have with here, so that we can be able to, make a more, again, holistic opportunity, and especially with the young people, because the young people are our future. And as Miss J and Mr. Will, almost 15 years, well, it is 15 years ago, did with myself and my staff, I think that we can do with the young people out there. So, I thank you for the time. And this is my first time doing it here. I'm used to doing it in Atlanta or New York, but I hope that I didn't take too much of your time. I didn't give a sermon or anything. And may the Lord bless and keep you until we meet again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any additional public comments? Great. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Sorry,
All-
just bless them.
Who's last? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously, thank you, we are adjourned at 7:43.
Everybody.